Hi everyone, my name is Kate Mall and this is my sociology major project. The first topic is why sociology is significant in my life based on my personal experiences. Starting off with culture, I was born and raised in California for 17 years. I grew up on a ranch and the culture was based around raising cattle in a small western town, and farming was also very prominent in the Central Valley. Subcultures included living in one of the only Republican towns in California. And then symbolic culture was the values of limited water consumption because of drought. Symbolic culture are the values and norms that you hold, and it was very important in California to limit your water consumption. So didn't run sprinklers, didn't take too long of showers because there was a drought in California. So that was the culture that I was brought up around with my personal experience. But it ultimately changed because I moved to Georgia by myself when I was 17 years old. The culture consisted of college football being very prominent. Also peaches are a big thing in Georgia. And the Southern lifestyle is ultimately just different than the California lifestyle I grew up around. And then subcultures were also different because religion is a lot more prominent out in the South. And it's a lot more popular to go to church and to follow religion than it is in California. And then symbolic culture was also different because the language out here was also different, and I had to learn to say yes ma'am, no ma'am, yes sir, no sir. That just wasn't in my vocabulary when I lived in California. Sociological imagination and how it impacts sociology in my own life. One of the things that impacts my life is from the broad spectrum, which would be civil rights movements, so acceptance of LGBTQ, race, and gender equality. Without this, it's a big part of my life. I have friends of different races and genders, and some of them are gay, straight, bi, and without the civil rights movement, I don't think I would be like that. So that's a very important part of my life and how sociology impacted it. And then there's the narrow, which is age and gender and social class. So because of my age and gender, it's the way that I dress, the way that I choose to dress. Like sometimes I'll wear a crop top because I'm 20 years old and I mean, a 50-year-old probably wouldn't be wearing a crop top. And then gender, I do my hair feminine. I like to get my hair done blonde. It makes me feel pretty and girly. And then social class, brands of technology. My social class, which is like the upper middle class, I guess you could say, generally buys Apple products, I find. And I think that's maybe why I buy Apple products. I don't buy Samsung. And then intimate is my personal relationships. So this is how I interact with my parents, my mom and dad, how I interact with the partners that I have in my life, and then how I interact with my friends. Individual versus society and how it affects people. Society, we can look at norms. So as a whole, we know right from wrongs. And then there's mores that we all understand. Rape is wrong, murder is wrong, child abuse is wrong. And then we all understand folkways. For example, generally we understand that men should hold a door open for a female when walking into a building rather than the woman hold open the door for a man. Not saying it shouldn't happen, but it's just a widely understood concept that we all know. And then there's taboos that we as a society all understand. Cannibalism and incest are not okay and never will be okay. And then there's individuals, things that set us apart from society, and this would be career choices, whether you decide to be a teacher or a doctor. Consumer choices, are you going to decide to purchase an Apple product or a Samsung product? And then politics, on which side of the spectrum do you reside, the left-leaning or right-leaning? So there's society works together to create individuality, but there's also we can choose individuality without society. And then individual experiences or behaviors at the micro level. Family dynamics, for example, in my life, I have a friendship with my mother, but I have a high respect for her. So even though she is my friend, I consider her to be, I respect her very, very much. And when she lays the boot down, I know that's my mom and I respect her. My sister is my role model because she's older than me, and so when I have issues, I do go to my sister, and then I'm a role model for my little brother. He's always looked up to me. And that's just kind of our family dynamic, our understanding of being together at the micro level. And then personal relationships, this could be how one decides to resolve conflicts. Do you either fight or do you sit down and figure out the situation? And is also what type of person they choose. Another example of individual experiences or behaviors at the micro level is mental health. Do they decide to ignore the issue? Do they seek therapy? Do they isolate themselves, or do they reach out to loved ones? And then there's agents of socialization in the personal life. So for me personally, religion is a big part of my personal life. I'm Christian, and it ultimately decides the choices that I make in life. When I have a problem, I open the Bible. I feel like the Bible is a love letter from God to me and to everyone, so I do lean on God throughout my life. And then mass media also affects me as a person. TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, Pinterest, YouTube. Not just me, but I think we all get a lot of political information from those mass medias. And then there's these ideas of the ideal woman and the ideal man. And so we kind of base our individuality off of what we see off mass media. How our bodies should look, how our face should look, how our hair should look. This can come from mass media. And then we put it into our personal lives. And then we have peers. This is the first time that we live a life separate from family, and we learn to communicate with others. And then family, we learn authority, respect, and we first learn how to interact with others around us in our personal lives. Sociological theory and research, and the relationship between individual and society. So the sociological theory falls under structural functionalism. So this would be family structure, education structure, and political structure. So we understand that you respect your parents. We learn in school how to communicate with others, and then we learn politics. And then conflict theory. Conflicts and issues is how we decide to go about these conflicts. And then research, this could be qualitative research, which is when you sit down, interview, ask questions to people, or you could do quantitative research, which is based off numbers and data. And then we have symbolic interactionism in the individual and society. So symbolic interactionism is how language or symbols have a meaning for society and personal lives. So social norms in public that we all understand, like public nudity is not okay. The language that we use, hi, hello, nice to meet you, how are you? Things that are widely understood individually and within society. Gender roles, even though those aren't so prominent anymore, but generally mothers are more known for taking care of their children, whereas men aren't. And then fashion, so this could be women tend to dress more feminine and men can tend to dress more masculine, which isn't as prominent nowadays, but it is still relevant. And then we have quantitative or qualitative research, and which is better for when looking into individual and society. I personally think that qualitative research is better because it allows us to communicate with people. You're researching to get more complex data and results, which allow for more accurate answers. And then ethnography is a really great form of qualitative research. This is when the researcher puts themselves within a certain environment and observes and then interacts with the people. And then I have all my resources listed right here. Thank you so much. Have a great day.